Hello and welcome to Selah, Time to Pause.
Hello, Gracie.
Samuel, happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas and a Merry New Year.
And Easter and Happy Harvest.
Yep.
I think it's important we cover all bases in case people are listening to this at a different time of the year.
Quite right.
That's the joy of podcasts, isn't it?
Mm.
Talking of harvest, how do you feel about harvest? Festival.
It's all right. I feel it's a bit underwhelming, maybe.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. I hate it.
All right.
No beating around the sheaves. I actually dislike it a lot.
Oh, why is that?
It's just a bit, it has potential, but it doesn't live up to it because we inject it with limited resources, as in there's only 3 songs sung.
Yeah.
We plough the fields.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's sang twice.
Yeah.
One service, I've experienced that. What's the other one? All Good Gifts Around Us.
Yeah, I said From Heaven Above.
And something about a red tractor.
I don't know that one.
Which I'm too old to know, but apparently the youth of today sang that in primary school.
Oh, right. Am I too old to know that as well?
I think you might be.
Oh.
There is one, we don't tend to sing it at Harvest, but I think they should, is number 4 in the, what was it called? Come and Sing book. Number 4, Autumn Days.
Autumn Days?
Yeah.
Is that Autumn Days?
Yes. And 2 jet planes meeting in the air to be refueled. All that. Brilliant. if they sang that in Harvest, which is funny, isn't it? Because it should be a really jolly, thankful time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit doom and gloom, isn't it?
But actually, having listened to your episode, I perhaps should change my attitude to Harvest.
Okay.
And come at it from a different angle.
Of praise. Yeah. Which I think that's what you're doing. I feel like that's what you were saying. Like,
yeah, true.
You should be more thankful about it, which is.
But maybe I should do it in a less critical, negative way. Oh dear. And Harvest, when you sorry to bang on about this.
Is there a joke coming at the end of this?
There's a joke coming too.
That's what I'm waiting for.
No, there's no joke to do with Harvest. I've just got to get this out there because we're in that season. When you have a festival, Harvest Festival, and you bring all your belongings, not your belongings, you bring your tin goods, yeah? And you put them on the altar.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do it now. Again, I might be too old. But when we did it, we would bring tin goods and a marrow, a very, very large marrow.
Yeah. Then
sit on the altar or the mercy seat. And then all that stuff would be taken to an old people's home. I'm not being funny. But what are you going to do with a marrow if you haven't got your own teeth?
Yeah.
So it's on Sam. Anyway.
I'm not sure I've ever eaten a marrow. Well,
it's good to try a new thing every day. So maybe that could be, by the end of the day, you eat a marrow.
Okay.
Or...
They're quite large though, aren't they? Do I have to eat the whole lot?
You have to eat the whole lot. If you don't do it today, do it tomorrow. Anyway.
Oh, goodness me.
Can you tell I haven't had any sleep? Where were we? Jokes. Yes. Now, you remember last month, Sam, we were talking about Edinburgh Fringe and how bad. You're right. Do you need help?
Sorry, I'm just giggling. Was that build-up, that whole build-up just for that one?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't know what I was talking about. That just came to my head.
I love it.
The worry, isn't it? Right. Yes. So, remember last month we were talking about Edinburgh Fringe jokes and how terrible they were?
Yeah.
So I was reading an article about that. And then I got a little bit distracted because I ended up... So somebody who's won it loads of times is Tim Vine. Mm-hmm. You've heard of Tim Vine, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then I went and I looked at his top 50 one-liners.
Okay.
So here are some. You might want to use one today. You might not. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I won't deliver it as good as him, obviously.
You might.
Somebody actually complimented me on my driving today. They left a little note on the windscreen. It said, parking fine. So that was nice.
Oh, well done.
Now, here's one I thought has a tenuous link into worship. Mm-hmm. You might be able to connect with this one as well. This bloke said to me, I'm going to attack you with the neck of the guitar. I said, is that a threat?
Oh, very good. Very good.
I will stop and breathe in your presence. Just breathe. Just breathe.
this might not be relevant, but my first overriding thought about, I'm going to skip now to the one about Job. What's the title again?
The Mysteries of God.
Mysteries of God, yeah. But it was still a connection to Job, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think you mentioned Job's name once in all that.
Interesting.
Which is not, I just wonder if that's a reflection on, it got me wondering about, I don't know if it's as simple as this, but the focus being all about God rather than on the man of Job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the vastness and the...
You throw me off, started on C.
Sorry.
That's okay.
It does all kind of link, though, because I think all that, like the mysteries of God, and even like the counting of blessings, it's like there's almost like too many to count. You talk about in your reflections on the music, like the vastness again. And
yeah, when I was listening to Neil's episode in the A, I was listening to that this morning, preparing myself, and I was thinking, wow, this is a lot like kind of what I talked about in the other episode, which is always good when that happens. Happens a scary amount. But when he was talking about the Israelites fighting the battles,
he talked about them as a people, as a group, wasn't it?
As a group, yeah.
What they were.
As long as Moses' arms were lifted up, they always won the battles, which I thought was a very interesting way to say that. Like, as long as he was focused on God and moving in the power of God, then it kind of went their way. But then they all were moaning, and I'd never really thought about that as the reason why they didn't reach the promised land. Because they did moan a lot and like make false idols when Moses was up in the mountains and very quick to turn away from God. Well, maybe not very quick, but that's the bit that's talked about.
And it's interesting that when you consider it as a group of a group response, because when I thought about counting blessings and it being encouraged to do it or challenged to do it, it's almost felt like it challenged me as an individual to do that, and which we still need to do in our lives and stuff. But it's interesting when you get a group or a community of people to count blessings. I wonder how powerful that would be. I mean, it's powerful enough when everybody moans and whinges. People would get caught along with that. Imagine the complete opposite of that, though, of a group of people. Well, that's what worship is, isn't it? Like, that's what, like you said, when they held up Moses' arms, that was something they did, although it was Moses' arm, they did it all together. There was an impact as a group. But when they all started whinging and moaning and forgetting.
That's an interesting point, because if you like translate the group of Israelites to today, like the group of the Salvation Army or the group of Plexus Salvation Army, the group of Christians in general, like we do a lot of moaning about things, and I'd say there was a fair amount of division and maybe disagreement in the way things happen in Christians as a whole, and maybe in even small groups. And I guess the disagreement's okay to an extent, but as long as it comes to an outcome that's good, and that through all that disagreement we're remembering that God is good and thanking God for all the good things rather than just complaining about the bad things, which I've not really thought about it that way.
You know, it's like when you're with people that are, sometimes I would choose to be with people who I know are going to be kind of more uplifting and bright and sparky, and spend time with them because you like get carried along with them, don't you? Have you heard of the phrase mood hoovers? Mood hoovers? Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
That people who are mood hoovers, they kind of suck all the joy in their life out of a situation. And if you spend time with them, you start to think that way or approach things that way. But there's a lot on the flip side of that, there's a lot of power being in a group of people that will choose joy or choose.
Yeah. I was trying to think of a phrase for the opposite of a mood hoover. Like, could you go to the mood hoover and be a mood forklift?
Okay.
Lifting
up. Yeah. Mood lifter. A mood lifter.
Yep.
A mood lifter. Well, I mean, if you're focusing on counting your blessing bit, I've been doing a online group therapy, basically about trauma. And part of that is they taught us quite a bit about the brain and how it works. I personally think, even if you haven't gone through any kind of trauma or situation where you need help, I think everyone should have some form of therapy because if it teaches you about the brain, I think it's really beneficial. Anyway, that's a personal thing. Anyway, learning about the brain and learning about the kind of three things of the brain, three ways that the brain works. So I'll try and put this simply. I can only put simply because I'm a bit dead. So there are three bits of the brain. You've got your drive system.
Mm-hmm.
And so that works with like motivation and working towards something and pursuing and achieving and being focused. Yeah. Got the drive part of your brain. Then you've got the threat part of your brain, and that works around protection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And guards you in a situation. And then you've got the soothing part of the brain. So that's all about helping you manage like in distress and feeling contented and safe and stuff like that. And the majority of people, it's imbalanced. So we spend a lot of time with the drive brain going and almost too much. And then you've got the threat, constant state of threat. And what they were encouraged us to do is to kick the soothing part into the brain.
Okay.
So that it could then balance it all out.
Mm-hmm.
Because all three things need to be present and need to be working. But we tend to neglect the soothing part.
Okay.
And I was considering that with the whole, if you choose to count your blessings, whether there's an element of that where it does, like as a Christian, we might spend all our time focusing on purpose and drive and being better, doing better, being more creative, doing more projects, right? But spend less time in those moments where you're recognizing the goodness of God and the joy and all that. And because God created us and created our brains, there's got to be an element where you're counting your blessing is a good thing. It must help you.
Yeah.
It must help your mental health.
Yeah, definitely.
If you choose to recognize the good. Does that make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yeah. I think it's very powerful. It reminds me of a song, actually. I was listening to a song, actually, called The Jesus Way by Phil Wickham. And when you're saying if you choose to reflect and choose to be thankful, the song kind of talks about saying following Jesus isn't always easy. Like, it repeats the phrase, I choose the Jesus way, and the bridge says, I choose surrender, I choose love. Oh God, my Savior will always be enough. I choose forgiveness, I choose grace, I choose to worship no matter what I face. And the verses are kind of like, there's one particular verse that really challenges me that says, if you strike me, I will embrace you. And if you chain me, I'll sing his praise. If you kill me, my home is heaven, for I choose Jesus' way. And the fact that the line, if you kill me, then my home is heaven. It's like, in this world, no matter what happens, I believe that Jesus is on my side and that there's a better way for me. So does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I guess there's a worldly way of approaching things, and then there's a faith way of looking at things. Yeah. And I don't know, I don't know about you, Sam, but if I think of, there's something about the word blessings. I don't know if it's because we used to sing that chorus when I was younger, didn't really understand it, but count your blessings, name them one by one. And it's like very simple and quite repetitive and stuff. But I don't know, it just seemed a bit of I got the idea in my head, it was quite a like whimsical word and a soft and gentle blessing, and count your blessings, name them one by one.
Yeah.
But actually, and I've been really challenged to think that it's not a weakness, not a simple thing, it's power and authority in blessing.
Yeah.
And there's a real strength in acknowledging.
Yeah.
Even in like the work, my little auntie, she is little. Now, bearing in mind, I'm 3'2", she's smaller than me. And when I see her every time, she says, "Oh, you've grown." I let her believe I've grown. She's not sure. Anyway, my little auntie, she always says, she's so sweet. She always finish a phone call by saying, "All the best, even in the worst, all the best." And it's just a little phrase she says. But when I think about that, it's quite powerful, that. All the best, even in the worst, all the best.
Yeah.
It's quite empowering, I think. And
definitely. Because like in the Psalm, I'm moving on to Psalm 23 here, the meditation episode in D, the verse about in the valley, God prepares a table for us. And one thing that I'd not thought about, that we talked about in the small group that we have on a Thursday morning at 10 a.m. If anybody's interested in joining, do join the Discord server, which will be linked in the description, or email us at plexus@salvationarmy.org.uk to find out more about that.
Nice of them.
Thank you. One thing that I'd not thought about was, like, he prepares a table in the presence of our enemies.
Yeah.
And, like, what somebody pointed out in the small group was, is that because it's like a place where you're safe in the presence of your enemies, but also to invite the people we don't get on with to the table and to kind of talk through and mend those broken hearts. Like, God hates when you've got enemies and when you don't get on with people, like, and he prepares situations to mend that, maybe.
Yeah.
Which I'd never really thought about it that way before.
No, I'd only ever thought about that in terms of it being almost like a powerful visual statement that, you know, you can sit and have a meal kind of thing with all the enemies there, and it can't harm you. It can't, nothing can touch you. I hadn't really considered that invitation element of preparing it for others to, that's a really good point.
Whilst listening to that, I used Photoshop AI to create a picture of a dinner table in a valley with a nice jug of gravy on it, because we like gravy. Which, if you want to see that, I'll put it on the video and I'll send it to you, Gracie, as well.
Yeah.
Look for the video there. Plugging everything today. YouTube at Selah Tentacles.
The other thing that really, I guess, Psalm 23, going back to talking about the soothing part of our brain, I would suggest Psalm 23 kind of taps into that bit. Yeah,
definitely.
But in verse 4, I'm always struck by even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And I was underlined walk. So you're moving, you're not staying there. You don't have to, make yourself comfortable.
Yeah.
I've
not thought about that.
You walk through, even though I walk through.
You blow my mind a little bit there. That's a good thing.
Therapy.
We can get a sponsor in here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the other thing that really challenged me this week, in line with the Counting Your Blessings stuff, is, I take it you've seen, like, the news of the hideous news of the Libya flooding and that. I was watching a reporter yesterday. She's been broadcasting since it happened. And what is it, like a week and a half on now? Something like that?
Something like that.
Since it happened. And in yesterday's report, she's sat in a boat and she's going along and she's observing them trying to retrieve bodies from the washed up sea. So visually you can see all the destruction around her. But she kept saying, the people here want me to communicate to you that even in this situation, they are thankful because it's brought them all together as a people.
Wow.
And wow, that of all the things you want to be communicated, there's still some goodness. You can still think in a way which is got the tiniest bit of hope. That was like, wow. I put my stuff to shame of.
Yeah.
Oh, why do bad things happen to me?
Yeah. Kind of puts it all into perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah. Both with you, I was thinking about, you referred to in your musical musings about what people would reach out for to do worship with. You named many things.
All the instruments.
Not the spoons.
Not the spoons.
But I reckon they would have grabbed spoons. So you it could make a sound.
I remember my nan used to play the spoons. Yeah.
Who did?
My nan.
Great gift.
Yeah.
In line with that, I was wondering, so again, you also put like a date on how far back people have worshipped, didn't you? You put
I put in when that psalm was written. Yeah.
Psalm was written. So if you think about how long ago that happened.
Yeah.
And I asked myself the question, and I'm going to ask you this question, Sam.
Okay.
Don't know the answer. But do you think, like, the more information that we have now in our lives today, and the more choice, the more accessibility to different, thinking about the music to styles or information that we have, like that we've learned about Christianity. I guess my question is, do you think we're better off,
Right.
or do you think we're in a better place having all that at our disposal compared to when people didn't have all that, and they, didn't have the technology, didn't have the information, didn't have the ability to cross lands as,
Good question. I think we maybe have more opportunity to do it and to worship in different ways, maybe. Do I think that's better? I don't know. Sometimes no.
Yeah, maybe not. Is it better? But I wonder whether it limits us.
Yeah, because because there's so much more choice. There's so many more ways to think. There's a better way to do it. So let's complain about that rather than putting everything into the way that we don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's so much. There is so much more. It's that Jack quote, is it? The more you, what was it he said? The more you know, the more you realise you don't know much, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing.
The more you know, the more you realise how much you don't know.
You don't know. Yeah. And I think if you proactively choose to count your blessings and to be thankful, the more you try that, the more you will be thankful. The more you will see that you've got to be thankful for.
Yeah.
There's a song that we're going to share, and there's a particular line that I really like. There's a verse in there that says, God, I'm still counting my blessings, all that you've done in my life. The more that I look in the details, the more of your goodness I find. And then it goes on to say at the end of that verse, I will keep counting my blessings, knowing I can't count that high.